So I'm gonna talk about what I do today, how music technology or being a music technologist happens in my life today. Although music technology is such a broad term, right? Uh, Music technology can, I don't know which of you guys are doing work in the studio or work multimedia art, music, video, performance, creating interfaces, programming audio, yada, yada, yada. So it's so broad, right? And that's something that I really like, or I really liked about the program at Georgia Southern, because it was broad, it is broad. You know, we spend time in the studio, studio recording techniques. We also do audio programming, and we do art, and John basically knows everything about everything. So everything you need to know, he will help you. And that's really, really, really nice. So just let me tell you a quick story on, so this guy, Brazilian guy, comes from a music family, but thinks that needs a degree to have a stable job and things like that, and have a musical career, because here in Brazil, I mean everywhere, but here is quite difficult to live as a musician. So I was a musician, have been a musician my whole life, but I thought that if I have a degree, like a bachelor's, then I did music composition, maybe I can land in a job. Then okay, maybe that's not enough, so maybe I should do a master's. Then follow the American dream, going to America and doing a master's and thinking, okay, now I'm going to get a job. And so what years was Gustavo GSU? I was, yeah, that's right. And then I got a job after finishing my master's. And I'm going to get more into details. Then I realized that my life was pretty miserable. I hated having a job. And then just realized I did all wrong. Left my job, left the US, went backpacking in a rediscovery journey. And now I live as a YouTuber. Saying that like YouTuber is just, it's kind of funny, and it's almost embarrassing. I don't know why, because it sounds stupid, but it's just part of a business. So what I do now, YouTube is part of what I do, but I basically have an online business where I teach people what I like in music technology, what I'm going to talk. I teach people how to do it. So I have online courses, which is super trendy now since this pandemic got really popular, but I have been doing that for a couple of years, always as a side gig. And after I realized that having a 9-to-5 job, even being in my field, was not good for me, I thought that I should find another way. And I decided that this year, 2020, was the year that I was going to try to see if it works. So what I do is it's not the only thing I do, but that's what I ended up focusing in. Like I build new interfaces for musical expression, mostly MIDI controllers, and I teach people how to do it. So for example, I have things like this one that I just built. Is it upside down? Yes. This is like the panel of the Minimoog. So I built this MIDI controller to control the Minimoog app. And among other things that I might show you that they are there. And let me remember where I was. So what I do now is I have this YouTube channel where I think is a pretty good sustainable way of helping people and making a living from this. So I come from Brazil, and the reason I started building my own interfaces is that here they are pretty expensive. So it's really hard to have, I wouldn't say expensive gear, because basically every gear is expensive. So having anything is, it's hard. So that's why I started to build MIDI controllers. Like this one was like my first, just let me grab it. So this is not my first, this I built a couple months ago, but that's the type of thing I started doing because I wanted, like, I don't know if you know the MIDI Fighter from the JTech Tools. I had an electronic music project, and I was doing music in video live, and I wanted something to trigger samples. And $200 here in Brazil gets too expensive. So I built one for, I don't know, $30. This costs around 40 bucks. And after I did 1 and 2, and I thought it was a good idea that, like, if I took a lot of time to learn how to do those things, because I don't think there was a blog or YouTube channel that was focused on that, on teaching people that doesn't have any background in programming or electronics, how to do this kind of thing. So that's when I started my blog and YouTube channel, which is the Musical Nerd, or the Nerd Musician. And I did a course, which is like, so I thought, like, maybe I could try to make some money, like actually creating a full course where I can sell people, like a step-by-step thing. And this has been my side gig until this year. During the masters, I was doing that also in the side, a way I was able to live in a grad student stipend. So, but that's how to make this a, I don't know if any, okay, John has a comment. Beautiful Bitcoin was a great project with great music, would have, so I'm just improvising what to say. If you have another question, like just say it. But I want to talk a little bit about the part of the business, and as one possibility, as a career, one career possibility for you guys, because I don't know about you, but I don't know if there's any international student, Andres. That's what, I don't know if there's anybody from, okay, from where? Oh, somos vecinos. Yo soy del Río Grande del Sur. Anyways, we are neighbors. And I don't know if you're planning to stay in the US after you graduate, but it was a pretty hard experience, because I thought that it was going to be something kind of simple. You know, you graduate and then you get a job, but it's getting harder and harder to get a job if you are international. And when you graduate, if you're an international student, you have a window at most of 3 months to get a job in an OPT, which is, you can still get a job in a student visa. Otherwise, you have to get an actual work visa, and it's way harder. So they give you this window to have a job in a student visa and then apply for a working visa. And when you try to get a job as an international student, even if you can get a job right now in the OPT, they will ask you, will you need a visa sponsorship? If you say yes, which is the case, you decrease your chances of getting a job drastically. And I actually lost maybe 3 good jobs just because I am international and they wouldn't sponsor me. So there's that. So Yes. So there's that. If you're international, things are will be harder than normal. And if you land in a job like I did, and if you don't like it, it's really hard to just keep looking for a job. I didn't have this option. So it was that job, applying for a visa, waiting 3 years in the same job to then apply for a green card, or leave it and come back home. Here in Brazil, there's no such thing as a job in uh, music technology as a multimedia artist, you know, unless you do then a PhD and then you teach. But then I was like, until like study more until you can get the job. Anyways, I thought it was maybe not for me. That's not for me. So I decided to try to do this YouTube thing, like for real, full time. So what I do now, the way it works is, if you guys think that it's something that you have interest on, because the advantage for me, one, you don't have a boss, and I learned that I can deal with people telling me what to do, and we don't think about it before, like when we are studying, if we have the profile, because like musicians, we are always doing our own thing. We are not experienced with the hierarchy thing, you know. And if you don't land in a job with a really nice boss, or like things work the way you want, then you can get pretty upset. So one, you're your own boss. You work anytime you want. And one thing that I think it's really nice, it's that you don't trade hour of work for money. It's not like I'm going to work 3 hours and I am going to make X amount of dollars per hour. When you build a digital business, which can be any digital business, but in my thing is teaching people how to build MIDI controllers. Once you build that, you set up the whole thing. You just keep selling while you're not necessarily working. So you can still travel, you can do other stuff, and it's like passive income. And the way I found what to do as on YouTube, basically, it's not that I love, I mean, I really love what I do. I really love building this, but it's not the thing that I dream on building interfaces for people, you know. I'm going to talk about the job. I just saw that question there. It's not that I like, oh, I always dreamed of having a YouTube channel and teach people how to build interfaces. But among the things I like doing and then that I know how to do, that's the one thing that started to become profitable. Because as an artist, as a musician, it's really hard to make money just with music. Of course, you can teach and things like that, but just like selling your music, it's hard. And once you have to make money with your music, then there's so many other things that get involved in your creative process. And I decided that for me, I don't want any of that anymore involved on the music that I do. If I want to do music now, I can do. If I don't, I don't need to. If I want to think about what people will want to listen, I can think. If I don't, whatever. So what I wanted to have is something that could pay for the bills while still being nice to me to work with that, but that gave me freedom to all the art stuff, to not be anything related to money. So people started to ask me, oh, can you do a MIDI controller for me? Can you build something for me? You know, so, oh, maybe there's some way to make money with this. And then with the courses, for a long time, it was always just like, some money, like some extra money, and not that like make a lot of money now. That's not the case, but it's enough for me to live. And I don't know what your goals are, but I just want money to be able to live and do some fun stuff once in a while. Like I don't care about anything more than that. Like if I can do my music or whatever and not being worried about uh, having paying the rent or whatever, for me it's fine. So I decided to try to do that. So let's just make a pause. So like just talk about the job that I had. So I got a job at Ball State University after I graduated. So I got this job at Georgia Southern University, no, at Ball State University, as it's a fancy name, as a human computer interaction electronics designer, which is basically I was working with multimedia art or designing hardware, the physical part, or maybe some software, basically anything that they needed me. But I thought it was going to be more, I wouldn't say creative, but more independent, that I would be able to do more of I wanted, but I actually had always to wait to what my boss wanted, and timing, like the way I wanted things to go was not really in the way I think it should be. And it just frustrated me a lot. But anyways, let's come back. T-pause. It's so weird to talk and hear nothing back. It's like, is everybody actually listening?
Oh, we're listening.
They...
Really fascinating. Yeah.
Do they have like their like Facebook or like Instagram or like Pro Tools opened instead? Anyways, cool. So how the business work? So people like, and I had an interesting talk with, I don't know if you know Stephen Weigel. He's from Ball State. He's involved with music tech, but he's really into microtonal music. And he has a YouTube channel, and he's has a podcast, Now and Zen. And we had a talk in his podcast last time about content creation, and we were talking about this YouTube thing because he wants to grow his audience and maybe make a living from this. And it's actually kind of hard, but not impossible. So like my channel today has around 10K subs, which for a YouTube channel is pretty small, but it's already enough. So like enough for me, because I live in Brazil and get paid in dollars. So if you want to travel to any third world country where it's cheap, it's a pretty good business, even in the beginning, because you don't need much to survive. If you want to live in an expensive place, then it's get harder. You need to wait more time. But it's really hard to just make money with YouTube, because then you need like millions of views. Then you need to have like a pretty big channel and maybe have a good Patreon account, so people that want actually to sponsor you. So what I do today is I have a paid course, which is the Making Music with Arduino, where I teach people how to build those MIDI interfaces. But it's also a programming course. Like I teach everything from basics to a little bit of advanced in programming and electronics, but always focused on how to build those MIDI interfaces that actually translate to any other programming language and things like that. And what I do is every time I build, like, for example, this controller here, I just finished the video. I'm trying to do now, really, I spend time on studying and on how to build, on how to make actually really good videos. I mean, really good depends on if you think it's good or not, but I try to do the best as I can. Like good lighting, good camera, good audio of course, and good editing, good color grading, everything that is involved with video making. And for example, this video will, if you want to see later, if you want to watch later, it's going to premiere in 7 minutes. I scheduled to 3 p.m. here, so it's going to be 2 p.m. for you on YouTube.
Fantastic.
And I can try to find the link here. So every time I do a video like that, so what is the sustainable part that I talked about is just a moment, finding the link.
While you're looking for that link, I just want to point out that it's really interesting the number of things you have to be good at to do this. Because one thing is making videos that you're color grading and editing and doing the audio, and all that is on top of the thing that you're an expert at, right? So it's really interesting how broad you have to be able to do this successfully without having a small company around you to do it.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I figured out after the job or before the job, is that for me it would be really hard to land in a really good job. Like, I remember that when I got to the program the first time, I felt, I wouldn't say like really dumb, but I had a little bit of shock because first I met John, I met like Jeffrey Clark, eventually Aaron Anderson, guys that like are so smart. And after I graduated, I thought like I'm not like Aaron, like so good at the thing that he does, but I can do a bunch of things. So it's really hard to land in a job if you're not so good in one specific thing. Like, I can do programming, I can do hardware or video editing, whatever, but I'm not like a pro programmer, you know? I'm not an electrical engineer. And most of jobs, they ask you to be really specialized in that one thing. And that's one thing that I liked about the music tech program, because it's broad. You know, we see a bunch of things, and like video, interactive graphics, and the audio, the work in the studio, lots of things. And that's what I like, is just doing a bunch of things. I kind of get tired of doing one thing, and then I go to the other thing, and that's what I like. And having this channel allowed me to invest on that, and it's an opportunity, because it's the type of thing you can do if you're not like so specialized in one thing, but you're good in different types of things. Basically, you can do whatever you want. You know, you can do your channel about anything you want, and if you're comfortable, you not even need to be comfortable in front of the camera, because depending on your channel, you don't need to appear. But it's something that I like doing, so I like the video part. To be honest, I think my favorite part of all is the video editing. So at least now, you're gonna see in this video, I mean, if you watch it later, that I put a good amount of time on editing. So I think it's another type of art that you can put some creativity. And so I do this video, I share for free the code and the schematics for the controller. So I tell them, if you want to build this, you can download the schematics and the files, everything you need to build it. But if you want a step-by-step tutorial, if you want to learn how to program, if you want to know how to build other types of controllers, I have my course here, the Making Music with Arduino, and I leave the link in the description. You can just take a look if you want. And sometimes I also do ads, but now I'm working with another person to do ads for me. So Facebook ads or YouTube ads. I'm slowly starting on this. So basically it's how it works. And I think it's really nice because me personally, I never paid for an online course. I like the process of just looking for everything on the internet and figuring out on my own and not spending more money. But some people want to save time, and also saving time, you save money. So a lot of people want to actually to pay for a course because there's everything for free on the internet, but you have to spend time to find it. So when you have someone that organized everything for you and is there also to help you, and there's all those things you see when you see they selling courses, you have the Facebook group and you have bonuses and all those things. So I think it's nice in this way because people can do stuff for free with the things that I post on my YouTube. Today, a guy just sent me a message. He's like, oh, thank you so much. Look, the controllers that I built just with the videos from YouTube. And there's people that do the courses and like also build awesome stuff.
So Gustavo,
yeah.
Do we want to take the time to watch this premiere that's going to happen here in, 30 seconds or something, or?
Sure.
Okay. Do you want me to screen share, or are you going to do it?
Oh, screen share for us, please.
Okay, I will do it. So this says it's going to premiere shortly, and I think it's supposed to be at 2. Here it goes. So I'm going to screen share, and we'll do it.
Exciting.
I'm excited.
First group premiere.
Here we go.
I love the term world premiere. So more important than it actually is.
So we have a countdown, I guess.
Yeah. Okay, I will mute my microphone. Hello my nerd musician friend, and in this video I'm going to show you the MIDI Mood, which is a MIDI controller based on the Minimoog, which I designed and built. The Minimoog, you might know, is the most iconic analog synthesizer of all times, and there are versions of the synth virtually, like the Arturia Minimoog, as I showed you in the introduction. So in this video I'm gonna show you the building process, and at the end I'm gonna show you how you can build one yourself, and you can see a small performance using this beast right here. So I hope you enjoy it. So that's it, my friend. I hope you enjoyed it. I really loved building this controller and actually making this video. And if you want to build one like this, the MIDI mode or a Mini Moog MIDI controller, I left the schematics and the code in the description. But if you want a step-by-step tutorial on how to build this one and many other MIDI controller projects, I have the Making Music with Arduino course. In the Making Music with Arduino, I teach you not only how to build those controllers, but also how to program and about electronics and many other things like building your own case, like how to design and manufacture enclosures like that. And links are here in the description. Just go there and see if it's something you'd like to do. So if you liked this video, please click that like and subscribe to the channel if you didn't do, and tell me in the comments another MIDI controller you'd like me to build. Another synth or an effects chain, anything, just let me know. And now I'll leave you with a small performance that I did with this guy. So, see you next time.
Wow, great video. That's amazing.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, I mean, super impressive.
Cardio burns fat, right? No.
Hmm? Let's take a look here in the questions. So yeah, this video followed exactly the model that I told you. And one thing that's really important is hearing what people are saying and seeing. There's some plugins like Chrome that actually shows you metrics of your YouTube video, a percentage of like people that are giving likes and dislikes. And of course, there are the comments. And in the beginning of the year, I tried to do one video per week. I think there was a question about schedule, YouTube. But anyways, ideally, you will do at least one video per week. And that's what I try to do. But that just didn't work with me. To make a good video like this with this project, because you have to design, it's a lot of things involved. You have to design the controller. The main difference about each controller is the design of the enclosure, because the way I do now, I have basically templates that I can just adapt to each new controller. Even for the enclosure, I use Fusion 360, which is a 3D modeling software, which is parametric. You can just type new measures and the whole thing adapts, gets bigger, taller, and you just need to make some tweaks. So that's really nice. And so you have to do that. Then you have to build the controller. Then you have to program. Also, the code that I have today is pretty flexible. And if you guys want to take a look in the code, there's in the description. And then I have to shoot everything. Right. I mean, during the build process, I have to shoot everything, and then edit, color grade, everything, and then post. There's no way I can do that in 1 week and still have a life, right? And I decided to do what was working best in my videos and what I like doing more too. So those building the thing from beginning to end with a nice edit, this type of video was the video that was getting most engagement and most likes and no dislikes. There's not so many things I can do wrong. I mean, only if the video sucks. But I try to do other things in the beginning. Sometimes I try to be funny, do some other cringy stuff. Like, actually, I have a video that's the one that I have most views, which I can't see me because I think it's really stupid. And somehow it worked because it's just a video on how to, when I was trying to do one video per week, it's just a video on how to use a microphone straight to your MacBook Pro without an audio interface, which is just like, okay. But it has like almost 200,000 views, I guess, now.
Yeah, I mean, you've had several, well, at least two I can think of now with 200,000 views, and then you had a video at one point with I don't know how many, the XT Synth one with 750,000 views or.
Yes. So sometimes things get way more views than you think, and sometimes you think they're gonna do super well and like nobody cares. But I'm trying to be more consistent in what type of thing I post, which is the building process of the MIDI controller. Let's see, Pro Tools is my main source of social media. Yeah, so how often do you post content to YouTube on an average per week? Now I don't really care. I try to do a good video and post it.
Yeah, it looks like there was a question that asked, is all of the music for the video original composition?
Oh, that's really important. No, that's, it's something that I had to decide. Am I going to do the music for my videos too? And that's not a focus for this channel. Otherwise, it was going to be way more work. So I use a service called Epidemic Sounds. So it's a subscription. So you pay per month, and then you have access to tons of. If you pay, they are royalty free, and so you can use in your videos. You just need to tell them, oh, that's my YouTube video, and then you can use whatever music without any problem. And that's a big part of my videos. Like watching here, you can't really see how the video syncs to the music and all that fun stuff. But if you watch it later, then you can see that the music plays a big role. So if you guys, I don't know how are we in time? We didn't.
Well, we have all the way till 3 if you choose.
Okay.
Because I know there's a lot of good stuff to talk about. I wanted to know how long it took you to make this one video.
You mean editing or the?
Just from beginning to end. Like what type of time span are we talking about? Because, you know, I guess you had to know at some point, this is the thing I'm going to build and I already know how to build it.
Mm-hmm.
So how long did it take? It seems like it'd be months.
No, it's not that much. You know, if you already have like a routine to build something, you know, since I'm doing those things, I have done a bunch, and I already know the process. It's not gamble anymore. You know, oh, I'm gonna do and see if it works, and hopefully, you know, luckily that's a really nice thing of teaching people, is that you get to do a lot and you get practice. And this one here, I think I haven't done a controller yet that worked perfectly everything at first try, but I think this one was just a toggle switch that was broken. So it was like almost at first.
I like how the video kind of gives us, you know, the way you edit the video and the way you choose to shoot it gives us this sort of artisan approach, right? It really feels handcrafted, and each solder joint is special, and like, oh yeah, I'm putting the seasoning on this thing just so, you know.
Uh-huh.
I really enjoyed that part of it. It gave me a good feeling. There's a question about what software are you using for video editing?
I use DaVinci Resolve, actually, which I heard for the first time with Jeff.
Yeah,
I think he uses. So DaVinci is a really nice software. I used Premiere before, but DaVinci is free. You have the free version, which is the one I use, that has most of things you ever need. So it's an editing software, and it's also great for color grading. It has also part for audio. If it's not anything complicated for audio, we have the effects. So basically you can do everything there. So the way I do the videos is I shoot everything thinking a little bit about the result I want to have in the end, but it's mostly with the music and in the editing that I get the feel of what I'm going to do. But I knew that I wanted some more, like you said, more emotional parts, like more like put the seasoning. So I shoot a bunch of things in 60 frames per second, I guess. Then you can do slow motion and still have a smooth shot. So sometimes like slow motion works really well with that. But really, I choose the music. I want like an overall mood for the thing. And then I go to Epidemic Sounds, and then I listen to a bunch of songs. And that's the one. And then I try to edit everything on the music.
Yeah. So, you know, again, it's amazing to me that you have this broad range of skills. I mean, because I look at that and I think this is the guy I would hire to do my marketing for me with these video shots and stuff. It just looks great. And I kind of personally want to hear you talk a bit about XT Synth a bit because that's something that I saw you do, and it went from, you know, a prototype to through all sorts of stages, and really was pretty amazing that you kept going with it, because we got into things like how do we do printed circuits, how do we do 3D printing, all this for a musical instrument, you know, that you end up playing and end up being a finalist in the Guthman Musical Instrument Competition in 2018. I mean, so, you know, it's not everybody gets to do that, and not everybody gets to be a finalist in that, for sure. So congratulations again. But can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So here's when it's not plugged, doesn't look that fun, but it has LEDs all over. Maybe if I have a USB cable around. So the XT synth, okay, I'm just gonna plug this here. It's a MIDI controller, although it's called a synth, because it was supposed to be a synth in the beginning, and John followed all the journey, but it was just too hard.
Well, I think you did accomplish it to an extent, but it ended up not being worth it. I think you made a decision that was like, I don't think this is worth it. It sounds better if I don't do that.
Yeah. So it's pretty. There's a lot of light here, so yeah.
That's good.
Anyways, yeah. It is what it is. So the XT synth is it's a MIDI controller that you can play your left hand using a familiar technique for string players. So if you play the guitar, mandolin, anything, it's familiar. It's not exactly like a string instrument because it doesn't have strings. It has sensors, soft potentiometers, that track the position of your finger and make it into MIDI notes. And the other thing about it is that the idea behind is that I wanted to play a MIDI controller that I could use guitar technique, but also had the expression of a fretless instrument, like a violin. And also the bow characteristics, I could control more the amplitude and do vibratos and glissandos, just like a fretless instrument. So it's a mix of a guitar and the fretless instrument, but is a MIDI controller. And maybe you can find a link of something.
I'm going to look for that.
Okay.
The Guthman one, I think, if
Yeah.
that's all right. Yeah.
And so at first, like the reason not the reason I built it, because I always had this idea, but I didn't know how to do it. But the start was the Guthman competition, and I thought it was a good excuse, right? A competition to go to, and it was a good excuse to start building this. So I did the first prototype just for the application, and it worked, was selected. But then I had to do the second version, which is like let's say a decent version, because the first one was pretty fragile. I thought it was going to break at any time. It was hard to play. So yeah, as John said, that involved a lot of things, because then the first one was all with wires too. So a lot of work. So I had to do, so for the second version, I had to do I don't know if you can see it inside, but here there's a PCB, a printed circuit board, that I designed for that. So it makes things a lot easier if you want to do a complicated circuit. So I learned KiCad. So I think it's pretty good for designing PCBs. It's free, open source. And then was the process of learning how to design a 3D model, because I wanted to make it in a 3D enclosure, not use acrylic, just acrylic as I used in the first one. And then was just exploring things, the sensors. I used encoders for mapping things, and they are RGB, so they change the color from blue to red. It's hard to see here. It has a small display where I can also see the values that are going to, so I can map those to anything I want. I have a normal slide potentiometer, a rotary potentiometer, and some pressure sensors that all broke because they were bending towards inside the controller. So just bad design, they all broke. But they were pretty fine. So you can just press them and have different, or aftertouch or CC, and actually play like they were, like you were plucking the strings. So yeah, that was a fun project.
Yeah, can we look at that a little bit? I've got the video here, and I'll just share the screen. And
Yeah.
There's a whole site for this if anybody wants to find it, that talks about the XT synth. So here we go, and we'll dial this up. I'm Incredible. I remember watching that live. I think I was probably more nervous than you were, but after you were done, I thought he's won it. He's won this whole thing. I thought for sure. And yeah, that's the way competitions go. Is that sometimes
I didn't win.
even if you're the best, sometimes you don't win. That's how I looked at that. From
Yeah, but it's totally like I see that competition like as an excuse to be a competition, because really it's to get people that are doing this type of thing together, you know, and showing, because they're pretty big, so you can show to the world more people new types of instruments. Because who wins or not,
Yeah, I'm joking. I mean, everybody
uh,
that was involved was great. I mean, there was all sorts of things
yeah.
there, but you were definitely deserved to be there with that. And again, it's interesting in the breadth, because not only did you have to build this thing, but you had to learn how to perform on it, and you had to build an original composition to showcase it and be able to pull it off live and in person. Uh,
Yeah.
so all of those things, you know, a musical background is the only way you can do that, in my opinion.
I was pretty nervous because in the first presentation you do, because first you have to do a presentation in the first day, and then because there's more people that go to the final, which actually perform live. And of course there was a technical problem in my side, and then something was saturating, and I was pretty nervous, but it went well.
Yeah.
And about like, so do you manufacture this in large scale ever? No, I hope one day, but I like the only reason, like the only way I was able to build this was because I was at Georgia Southern. You know, if I just was here in Brazil, I don't think I would ever build something like that, because being like having access to the components, you know, we had like most of the components, and then there's the Fab Lab that I think I had to pay a little bit, but Suzanne, she was always super nice with me. She was like, just use it.
Yeah.
So there's all the things that you have access in the music tech program it's different from other music degrees where your main tool is your instrument and you don't need much more. Like with tech, we need like the speakers, we need the interfaces, and there's so many of them you need to try. And if you want to build something, you need the components and access to building tools and all sorts of things. So in this sense, being in the university was essential.
Right. And you were kind of the ideal sort of student for this, to show that if we provide these sort of things, look what happens. You know, look what happens if you make it available. But it's interesting to talk about the large scale manufacturing, because I remember you talked to somebody from Teenage Engineering who told you like, oh, it's way too big. That's why we make really small things, because they're in it for the money, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was an interesting lesson to learn, that you can build something that's actually really great. But if it doesn't meet the sort of mass production standards, then it's always going to be artisan. It's always going to be boutique.
Yes, I didn't remember about what you just said about Jasper, I guess his name, from Teenage Engineering, because like there was the guy there, right? He was one of the judges, and he has a company and he sells musical interfaces. And that's exactly what he said. It was like, it's too big, it's too expensive to manufacture. And that's the problem. I mean, that's one of the problems, is that if you want to build something like that in scale, you need to pay a lot of money. The hardest part to build is the enclosure, is the body of the instrument. Because PCB is super cheap. Like if you manufacturing JLC PCB was a Chinese company, they have PCBs this size for $2. It's super cheap. But then to assemble depends if you're going to assemble, it can get more expensive. But building the body, then you need to do a mold, like injection mold, and the mold costs a lot of money, and it's just worth it to make it in large quantities. So they have like minimum, some will do like 500 units, 1,000 units. So then you need investment, or you need a crowdfunding, and then you need more people, and it just gets too complicated.
I was really hopeful that some big company would buy the idea, but I guess that just doesn't happen, you know?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I don't think that happens in real life.
Yeah. Well, for
I
somebody,
was
maybe.
I was hoping for, but I
Yeah.
don't think so.
Yeah. Um,
So
yeah,
I
it's
tried.
just, go ahead.
No, I said that I tried to get jobs in those companies and maybe try to like I have this idea, but didn't happen.
Yeah, it's too bad. I mean, I feel like for, again, you know, research and development for some of those companies, you have great ideas. You know, you know, I'm just surprised that it didn't pan out. If I worked for them, I would definitely hire you. It looks
Nice.
like
Yeah, but
someone asked, have you used integrated C++ or is it all C?
we tried like for the Arduino is all C based, but when we were trying to do as a synth, we were using the TNC board, which is way faster than the Arduino and can do DSP. And they have an audio library for you to do synths. And so we're trying to do that on C++. We got some things working, like we got a sawtooth,
Band
a
limited
square
sawtooth.
wave,
Yeah.
band limited. Yeah, that was the deal because the audio library doesn't provide you with band limited waveforms, so they suck. So basically there was a lot of work to do a synth with a quality that was not that great. So that's why just like, okay, just let's keep it. It's still a 10 CLC, but no DSP going on, just everything MIDI. It's still flexible. You can do, still can do a lot of things. And at least for now, maybe in the near future, I would like to add some synth part, but then work with someone else, you know, to do the synth part. I don't know.
So for the mini, you call it the mini mood? Is that what it was called?
MIDI mood.
MIDI mood.
Yeah.
So for that, are you using an Arduino or what's your choice now?
Yeah. So yeah, just let me do like from this most simple to that one. So for example, this one is just one Arduino Pro Micro. Here, I'm using all of the inputs. So pretty simple, all the digital inputs. I think there's maybe 2 extra analog inputs that I didn't use. So you don't need anything else. But for this one, I'm still using the same Arduino Pro Micro. One of the reasons, the reason that I use the Arduino Pro Micro is that it can be MIDI class compliant. You can just add the MIDI USB library, so you don't need any serial to MIDI converters that you need with Arduino Uno. I don't know if you are familiar with. So for MIDI controllers, the Arduino Micro, Pro Micro, and Leonardo are the ones that you can make MIDI class compliant, just plug and play. But this has more components than the Arduino has inputs. So I use multiplexers, which is just a component that allows you to multiply one input into 16, which is the one that I use here. I can like tell names if you guys need later. But it's still just an Arduino Pro Micro, two multiplexers, and just, and one LED.
Yeah. So what's next for you? What's the next thing? What's on the horizon?
There's no big plans besides trying to be steady, you know. By next, I'm going to build one. I'm gonna grab the enclosure today. It's like the SSL channel strip plugin, you know, but in the shape of the MIDI controller. I think that's something that's super useful because a lot of people use channel strips in the mixing, and I don't recall many MIDI controllers or a MIDI controller that's exactly like a channel strip. So I'm trying to build things that people have interest on. and that's it. Trying to be steady with the YouTube thing, and I see that the business growing slowly but steady, and that's all I can do right now. There's not, I can't travel, I can do many things, and like just
Right.
stay at home and work. So
Yeah, it's a rough time right now, but at least you have something that isn't terribly disrupted by the current condition. That's good news.
yeah, not at all. On the contrary.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I guess if there's any more questions, I'd be curious to see them. It's kind of hard to keep up. There was a lot of comments here. Everyone just says it's really cool and fantastic design.
I haven't done much. Like I'm not a really C++ guy, but I mean, if you want to get into that, then Aaron Anderson is your guy.
That's right.
Like he's building, he built the pedal library. Is
right.
it C++?
It is C++, yeah.
Yeah, and like actually, I was talking with him because I think he can put this pedal library in anything, in like any ARM microcontroller. So we were actually thinking about, yeah, I talked with him actually trying to build this synth version with his library. So
right. I remember that there was some restrictions, with the embedded C++ on the Teensy where we couldn't use vectors and things like that. But I think that his library is pretty sleek in that regard. So
yeah. So yeah, pedal.
Yeah.
Haven't used, but it's my favorite.
I've used it and it's great. Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's see. Someone says, could we have your email?
Sure.
Yeah.
Put here.
I was going to ask you a question while you do that about so I know for a while you were kind of packaging up your own, like you can buy the parts you need from this from me, right? Because it's really a hard thing to do sometimes, is to locate the correct potentiometers or the various parts and not get something that's, oh, that was a surface mount potentiometer, I didn't want that. Is that something you're still doing, or did you find that worthwhile?
Not much. I have been trying to not go in. It's tempting to work with physical products, but at least here in Brazil, it's hard. Things get take a lot of time to arrive. With the pandemic, we're not shipping anything internationally. I don't know if they're even shipping internationally from Brazil, like anything, anybody.
So with your channel, are you finding that it's mostly Portuguese or English? I mean, what do people want mostly? What are your main subscribers?
I don't have the metrics right now, but it started mainly with Brazilians, but now I'm only doing content in English. So it's way more international now.
Yeah, that's another thing. You have to be bilingual as well, right?
Yeah, and you have to decide. For me, it was a struggle to, should I just keep doing Portuguese? Should I do in English? Should I do English and Portuguese?
Yeah.
And I just decided for now, no. I think that's a decision to only do content in English. It's not perfect, but I have to focus.
Yeah, exactly. Amazing stuff.
Thank you.
Well, Gustavo, as always, it's very impressive to see what you do.
Thank you.
Recently I had someone asked in marketing here at the university for, who are some of the ideal or most impressive students that you've had, and I look back through all of them and you were in the top. I mean, the type of work you did here is just totally amazing. Continue to be amazing. I hope you have continued success. We're proud to have you associated with us at all. It's amazing. And
thank you. And I loved the program, and I can tell you how, like, you guys know how John is amazing and how important was in this journey. Is just like, it's mind blowing. Like how you are so dedicated to, like, how you know so much and you are dedicated to your students. Like even now, if I need something from you, like you just do it. It's just phenomenal. So for me, it's just so nice to be here, and like with you and like some faces that I know. I know that Hugo just started his PhD.
Yeah, yeah, another person we're proud to have associated with us.
Yeah. So super
Anyway.
nice, and nice to meet you guys. And anytime I can come back, it's my pleasure.
Great. Well, thank you for being the second of our lecture series. We'll continue next Friday at 1:30 p.m. with another lecturer. Let me see who that is actually, since we're here.
Smash that like button.
Smash the like button.
Yeah, those things you have to do. Like, oh my God, now I need to tell them to subscribe and like and comment.
Well, everyone should. Everyone should subscribe to Gustavo's channel. Join the thousands that have.
Yeah, almost 10K.
That's amazing. That's
Have
really
to do a 10K special.
All right. Well, I'm having trouble doing this. Here we go. Maybe I can. I can't use my calendar. That's where I'm at. Let me make one more effort here to say who's going to be next week.
Thanks, Alison, Tyler, Larry, Paul, Andres from Argentina, yay. Carla, Hugo, Ryan, Francisco, Andrew.
Yeah, and all our Facebook viewers, I haven't checked to see who's viewing there, but hopefully we have some viewers there. And next week, we're going to have Christopher Biggs, a composer of music for instrument and electronics, and he's a great person to talk to, so we look forward to talking to him too. Well, thank you very much, Gustavo. I'm going to end the meeting now. I'll be in touch a little later and we can have a further conversation. And goodbye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.